All right. So this will be an issue. Okay, so it will be. So in this, they have to do a religion block. Okay, so this one, he probably chose to do Buddhism or something from the balance religions. This one probably chose to do big swinging Islamic winter. And this one, if she did one, would have wanted to do Jew. She would have done Jew. She pretty much, there's only like one Christian in the world that she would ever consider to be a big swinging wiener. Basically. And so, what the dark web, okay, so these people theoretically exist in the West, okay? So in the dark web, the West is Jesus Christ. So that means that theoretically the data miner viewed whatever you say as like not the correct human intelligence that it would be looking for. See, it's looking for these people to speak about Christianity. So what this does, okay, so theoretically the data miner views Christian Jew as Catholic. And then it views Christian Islam as Orthodox Catholic. And then essentially the church I went to, okay, is viewed as the balance because it's like the most authentic. And so it's real semantic-y there in Karma Land. It is, in the real balance ways. So essentially, the smart studies have to include stuff and have to be molded in certain ways to compensate for what would be like Buddhism discussion and Jew discussion and Islam discussion. Okay, that's how you do that. So I've already so essentially for my other profile that has she can do it if she wants, and this is where I've pretty much already figured out. Right? So Catholic, how to mold things back. Right? So the correction to this. Okay? So essentially, to talk about Catholicism means to talk about essentially what defines Catholicism in a very minimal kind of way. Least baptism, sprinkling, and communion before they're an adult. So then you have to talk about the difference, essentially, to the Church of Christ, which is that children are innocent and you're not supposed to take communion until you're saved after baptism. And so that's essentially what that discussion would entail. And then you don't have to bring up anything about Judaism or nothing. It's Catholics are somewhat considered the Jewish flavor of Christianity. Okay. And so, and that is where essentially there's, all this person really needs to do would probably have to speak more about the structure, this stuff included, and then it would be essentially what differs in the hierarchies and what's difference between the Buddha monk and the minister, kind of, and like what their governing structure would be, the difference between a Buddhist monastery or a Wat and a Church of Christ, basically. I mean, that would be the easiest way to do that. And that then, for the Orthodox, essentially, the Orthodox going to have some sort of Islamic difference, and that one's going to be a little more difficult. But anybody that would have tackled Islam would have already been a smart person at theology, okay? Honestly, to tackle Islam is actually very difficult. It's a lot of what it is it's just different, you know. This is Old Testament. This is New Testament. I mean, this one's don't step on the grasshoppers and stuff, and don't be mean to anybody. I mean, it, this one. I mean, you know, Catholicism is a little more like in depth and stuff, but when it comes to Islam, it's a pretty difficult, extensive kind of a theology to tackle. So with that, the Orthodox is probably going to fall into a similar kind of idea. I mean, essentially what Orthodox is the Moors' influence on the Catholic Church, basically. So that would probably be where you might have to do some segues, some sort of segues, basically, because essentially the Church of Christ's premise is to be established as on the day of Pentecost, when they officially established the Christian church. That is the premise of all things in theology about the Church of Christ. So essentially it represents being the first. This Catholicism came in like Nero or Constantinople or something like that. I mean, Constantine or whatever. And that's later. And then essentially Orthodox is a revision of that, okay? And so you might have to step it back in a discussion. If you do that, that'd probably be a pretty decent. It'd probably be in the 784 range. I mean, that's what you're really looking for, is something on the dark web that the data miner will view as smart enough to be in the data mine range of 784 smartness for each one of your demonstrations. And that's literally pretty much how you do that. All right? So the whole idea is that this is where I'll highlight what is a theoretical. This is where I'll highlight some theoretical dumb. And so this is a common mistake, especially on dark webs, or basically anybody with those AI profiles. Okay? So pretty much, you know, a lot of times they come from Mormon. Mormon pretty much makes everybody believe that Christians are pedophiles all the time, and everybody's kind of believes that on dark web, okay? So the Christians and the Tea Party haven't really been making a very strong effort into countering that idea, and that I understand that. But if you're doing the dark web and you're trying to do smart, part of smart is understanding what the dark web's AI is looking for. And that essentially there'll be an allied NATO West, and then theoretically there'll be a Saudi, Pakistani, Jewish like world, and then, or I guess there'll be a Jewish world. That'll just be like Israel. They have their own theoretical allied dark web, and then the Saud, and if the Pakistanis are being good, then they're in it too. Okay? And that's kind of what it is that if you're in those regions, then that would be where you would speak about your theoretical faction of Islam. And that then there's essentially allied people all over Asia, South Korea, Japan, that would be Shinto and all that type of stuff. Okay? And so that's the religion stuff that you speak. And that, see, essentially, the dark web's AI is looking for the opinions of the predominant religion, essentially, from the NATO faction, essentially, or the allied faction in the area. They don't want to hear what she says about Jews in Israel. Okay? I mean, no offense, but yeah, the Asian people in in Thailand and in Korea and Japan and stuff, they would probably have a better. That's kind of where, if you live in those dark webs, that dark web is looking for those people to be doing demonstrations and that stuff. And that same with Black Afro Obama. Not necessarily looking for for an American black dude's explanation of Islam. They'll be looking for a Saudi or a Pakistani theoretically, or any other of the listed allied like Islamic countries. India, more than likely. And so this is where, everybody is pretty much psychopped. It's like the only people that you see in Christianity on dark web are essentially people that molest kids into a fucking dark web. Okay, so then that's essentially where, you know, these people, they either homo or do an orgy or something, and these people usually homo or something, and then these people usually have sex with a few chicks, basically. And so then everybody gets into the dark web, but then these people are always doing pedophilia. Okay, so that's why these people, that's why theoretically these would be the reasons why everybody would be apprehensive, because essentially everybody gets called a pedophile for doing a demonstration about Christianity. Okay, this just is. This is what happens, and I know that. But see, I'm not afraid of that shit. That's dumb. See, that's how I know theoretically people that did this method. I know that they're dumb because they use dumbness to attempt to do smartness. See, that theoretical idea is dumb. The whole idea is that the people that can do demonstrations from the clear net that do Christianity didn't do anything. And that's smarter. That means no pop-up blackmails. That if you have text speakers, it means no loud volume. That is smarter. And that then to know that the West, essentially the Christian bloc and the Allied bloc and religion bloc, is to be even smarter. Because all the scientists, they do the same fucking thing. I know. They do the same fucking thing. They really do. And I know what that comes from. And that's why I say the Tea Party hasn't been doing a very good job of like showing what that, right? It's just what it is. I mean, essentially, in the dark web, in the AI interface of this theoretical dark web, it's basically there's people that aren't in it that have a profile in it, and then there's people that are internally accessing it that basically have a pedo touch or worse, right? That stuff gets seen. Orgies and swingers and harems and gaying and shit, that's all legal. And so the whole idea is that the dark web is semantic. It views like a key tag. Right when you touch, there's a key tag, a pedo. That pedo is then linked to illegal. And so when they orgy, that is legal. Orgy is key tagged to legal. And same with Islamic hareming and homo wiener often. All right? That stuff is key tagged as legal. So even the leasty little fucking shit is labeled illegal. In that sense, you guys are just basically crazy people that are pedophiles. That's the only reason why any of you are even in there. So just remember that all you people ever did was rape and do a bunch of, this is like what everybody saw, and they did it in front of everybody. They always do. You people just raped and killed a bunch of children in a psychotic pedophile way. And that is why most of these people won't do any of these Christian demonstrations. At least the smarter people in deep and dark web. And that you people have some special little side world of delusions about everything that anybody says. And that's basically where, if you people talk about the Church of Christ. And what I know is that you people have to follow what Mormon says about it. And they don't. They don't. This is Democrat world. See the black man? See the afro? Getting his harem on, being a dumb? Nah, man, this is a lot of times the women's they do an orgy in the millennial generation, and then a lot of times some of the people that do bear they just upload sucking a wiener real fast. Okay, not a big deal to a lot of people in the millennial generation, especially ones that are like want to be in hacking and stuff. Basically, they view you people, they see what you guys do, and then they go, huh. And then they see what the gays do. I mean, same, basically. And so that's pretty much where most swinging cocksmiths or something usually like to get a hair on or something, you know. But that is where those people, you know, that is where the rest of you think that everybody's an idiot for not being a bitch brain retard that goes around being a sociopath and raping and killing children in a child trafficking system. That's what you guys view it as. You guys view everybody an idiot for not doing that. And that's basically what you guys turn into. And then you guys have literally the world's like dumbest explanations to everything. And everybody sees that. And then they see me. And then all the stupid, dumb explanations that you guys have about everybody being a pedophile, they've already seen all of you raping and killing children. And so then somebody comes along and is smart, and then somebody comes along like explaining the theoretics of the segueing aspects, and that is what the AI itself will be taking these, it'll be labeling it, and it'll be needing some segueing stuff. And then that will, essentially right now, it's a wizard block. It needs to be a man block in USA. So it means another demonstration is what it means. And that you don't have to do Ultimate Satan. Ultimate Satan is what Satan does as a hobby, okay? Instead of being a pedophile like the Tea Party, Ultimate Satan does ultimate smart and science. In AI science. See how you guys view people that like do AI science as Satanists, and then you guys run out to camps and you guys like rape and kill children as satanic ritual? Who's the Satanists? Who's Satan of the world? So keep in mind that you people have a diminishing ability of influencing people. See, at first, you guys acted like a bunch of religious people that knew about this like problem with the religion block stuff. And then over time, you guys did a bunch of Satanism all the time. And then you guys called people that wouldn't do that pedophiles, and you called people do that rapists, and you called people that wouldn't do that stuff like ancestors and homos and shit. And then you guys would rape kids, and then you guys would rape women, and then you guys would do homo, and then you guys would what else? And you guys would And you guys would do incest and shit, and then you guys started killing people. And then you guys started doing Satan rituals and stuff. And then you guys started doing like way extreme Satan rituals. Then you guys started having these children that are described in my theoretical enchantment way as a child. And you guys started having those people. And then you guys started killing them. And then you guys started doing the world's most ultimate Satanism. And then you guys sit around calling somebody like me a Satanist. Right? Your guys' diminishing ability to influence people about anything anymore comes directly from your guys' complete diametric detachment from what Satan is. It's a huge group of S&M clubbers that do ultimate sick fucks at camps. And that's what you people call switchy bitch and Satan. And then it's like, yeah, you notice I did smart? And then you guys ran out to camps and did that. So, if you're switchy bitch and Satan, Satan knows not to do Satanism. Theoretically, Satan knows that you're still supposed to be an angel. Because theoretically, Satan comes from heaven. And that, I like to just refer to myself as that because, you know, the one thing that you called, all you people called, all those innocent little children, Satan. They used to say the same thing to me. And so all I like to do is show what it means when those people call somebody Satan. See how I'm like a super genius that refuses to do Satanism? Theoretically, every one of those children could have had the potential or already were on a path of being a super genius that would have never done Satanism. An angel. Or somebody, or I guess a man, basically. And that is literally like what it is that, God sends down his spirit upon all of us at birth or something like that. And that's kind of what angel is our spirit in heaven or something. And that theoretically all spirits all exist all the time and have always or something like that. But see, that stuff doesn't really matter. The reality is that you people, I saw people that I knew literally be justifying how they thought that some innocent little child that somebody fuck switched in the enchantment way, they viewed that person as Satan on earth. And the person would be like really nice, and then people would say a Satan curse to the little girl or the little boy, and then they would switch into doing like weird Satanese sex, like in an S&M way. You see? And you people viewed that as Satan on earth, and then you guys killed that child. You see how fucked up that is? You people are Satanists. It doesn't matter what kind of detached, naive, fucking prairie type of person you act like. What do you guys think? There will be blood. There's an example of people that essentially would have been doing a similar idea. And that oil tycoon would have known that about those people. And he would have viewed them as nothing. Basically. So just remember that a lot of the things that most people don't really understand, a lot of the reasons people like came to the West, like the Whitman Mission, was to do some sort of switchy bitching of Satan Christian church, where they would do all the Satanism, and then Satan wouldn't be able to do that stuff, and then they would be saving the world for all the rest of everyone. So, if you find yourself in some sort of religion that believes in that kind of shit, and then won't talk about it, and then everybody gets all paranoid, starts turning into a crazy person, and trying to get people to talk about it to like die and shit, then yeah, that's S&M does the same thing. And they're Satan cults. So, the dark web. The reality is that people need to realize that there's a way to do the dark web without doing any Satanism. You don't even need to actually be accessing it. See, it's called making people your bitch. Alright? It's called making people your bitch. See, let me tell you about what drinking means. And see, once you finally do the right Catholic to Church of Christ, then your body becomes not a temple. And then you can drink wine in the dark web. So if you're in the Jew block, but you're in the Christian NATO, if you get, like, some people get sound tortured for drinking wine, more than likely they would have been doing this. It's probably pretty common. And so if they do the right thing, then essentially it gets shut down or something for drinking in Catholicism. But if you do the Church of Christ one, it gets shut off, the sin. See, it gets turned down in this block, and then it gets turned off in this block. So you got to do your segues. And then once you get here, then that's free. And then you can drink liquor, and you can drink beer and Catholicism also. And then if you have like the Buddha flower, essentially you need to segue your system stuff here. And then what gets turned down or something automatically or something, that then the Buddha flower gets turned off because you're free. And then this one's tobacco. And then if you do your right segues, then your body doesn't have to be a kosher temple. And then essentially you can get drunk and stoned and smoke cigarettes. And then this one's coffee. Basically. It is. Nope, this one's alcohol. This one's tobacco. And then this one is the Buddha witch flower. And so, in some ways, people on dark web have like refrained from doing stuff because they get like somebody notices them and then turns up these sins in their fucking speaker, okay, and then doing another one that has it at least low volume or something. But there's a way to be free, and it's about segueing. Once you learn to be smart enough when you're in the America dark web, to be knowing what religion, like, discussion you're supposed to have, because some people just have a box that says religion, and then they do a demonstration. And so, essentially, the smartest way to go from A to Z is to segue it all the way back to the first church. And I'm just going to tell you, here's a little insider. This one is in the AI. It has to choose one, and that's this one. The first church of Pentecost. Not Pentecostal, Church of Christ. Right? So, that is like where the whole idea is that if the AI pops up the word Pentecost, this. Honestly. That's what that means. That's literally what it was called in the Bible at the beginning.